What's up, you YouTubers? It's Archetype89, and the voices in my head have told me it's time for the next segment of the Archetype Breakdown. Anyway, today's Archetype Breakdown, we are going to be talking about Chess Archfiends. So let's hit that intro.
Feel tensions rising, I hear voices in my head. They counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. They talk to me. They tell me things that I will do. They show me things I'll do to you. They talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. They talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me.
Now, before we get into the cards in this archetype, I usually try to stay away from archetypes that have cards that work with other archetypes. Now, this archetype does have some base support cards that work with pretty much every Archfiend type deck in existence. But this is one of my all-time favorite decks, or archetypes, I should say. And I felt like I really wanted to do the breakdown over this archetype just because I love the bases around this archetype. Now, Chess Archfiends is a very interesting archetype because they are designed around an actual chessboard. Now, I say it all the time, Yu-Gi-Oh! At its base roots is a strategy game, and I oftentimes compare it to chess. Now, granted, in Yu-Gi-Oh! There is a great deal more luck involved than there is in chess, but it's still a great analogy to compare, especially back when the game was first released. In its roots, it was actually a strategy game. There wasn't a whole ton of this archetype meta bullshit. You actually had to combine a bunch of different cards. They were just generic cards, and you had to make it work. So you had to plan and strategize that way. And even now, there's not a whole lot more of that today, but you still do see a whole lot of strategy, mainly result in reference to these the side decking in games, because you have to strategize, like, what might I be facing, what might I not be facing, what will work good against this, what will work good against that. What could work good against multiple different things. So there's still a fair amount of strategizing in this game, and drawing parallels to chess is a great way to do it. And I love this archetype mainly because it was designed around a chess or a chessboard. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have Vile Pawn Archfiend. Now, like a true pawn, this is pretty much the foot soldier of the archetype. Now, all the monsters in this archetype are fiends, and they all share a similar effect, and that effect is that the controller of this card must pay X amount of life points. In Vile Pawn's case, it's 500 life point payment, and during each of their standby phases when this is paid, and it's a non-optional ability, you have to pay it. And when this card is specifically designated as a target, the effect of a card controlled by your opponent, when resolving the effect, roll a 6-sided die, and if the result is 3, negate the effect, destroy the opponent's card. Now, all of the monsters in this archetype share a similar effect to that as well, being able to negate cards that target them. Now, the die rolls are a little bit different for each one, but I'll tell you what the die roll numbers are and the life point costs are for each individual card. Now, the main monster effect for this card, however, is that as long as this card remains face up on the field, your opponent cannot attack another face up Archfiend monster card. So this, it actually acts like a pawn in chess. It provides a protective wall against your other chess pieces or Archfiend cards. So I think the effect was actually a pretty good choice giving this card. Now, this archetype isn't very good at playability. Especially even when it was first released, the playability wasn't very good because of the life point cost that you had to pay. Now, this is a level 2. It's got 1200 attack, which is a pretty fair amount of attack for a level 2 monster. The 200 defense, kind of shitty, but still. If you have 2 of these on the field, if you can manage it, then they protect each other as well. So that's a pretty good effect, and some pretty okay stats for this card. Alright, next up is the Rook of the deck. Now, in chess, the Rook can move forward, backward, side to side, any number of spaces as long as the space is open. Terrorking Archfiend, he sort of, reflects that a little bit. Rook is a level 3 light with 1100 attack and 1800 defense. Its effect states that you have to pay 500 life points during the standby phase. And just like Vilepon, you have to roll a 3 to negate the effect that targets it. The additional monster effect is that when a Terrorking Archfiend on your side of the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you send this card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon the Terrorking Archfiend. Now, Rooks are pretty much baby queens for a chessboard. So, they do sort of protect the king, because they're the castle pieces, pretty much, is what they are. And like a good castle, they protect the king. So, with the king in this archetype is just, sent to the graveyard, the castle protects it and brings it back. So, that's a pretty good parallel for the effect for Terrorking Archfiend. Next up is, let's see here, where was it? Shadow Knight Archfiend. This is on the chessboard. It's the horse-looking piece. But Shadow Knight is a level 4 wind with 2,000 attack and 1,600 defense. For this one, you have to pay 500 life points during the standby phase. And just like the last two, you have to roll a 3 to negate the effect. The additional monster effect is that the battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent's life points is halved. Not such a great effect for a knight. I mean, knights are generally the strongest pieces, or the strongest, soldiers in a medieval army. And on the chessboard, yeah, they're kind of weak because, they can only move in that L shape. But only having the damage for a 2,000 attack point monster, you gotta remember, back when this archetype was released, 2,000 attack points on a level 4 was a little bit stretching the limits of the attack for a level 4 monster. So they had to give it an effect that, could, even out the high attack. But still, this is a great card, ram against a low-level monster. And, if you attack directly, though, damage is only half. But, there are ways to boost attack and shit like that. Alright, next up we have, let's see, we've done pawn. Oh, bishop, the bishop. Alright, the bishop, now the bishop's artwork, is kind of creepy. He's got the staff with the skull. But he's a level 3 water with 300 attack and 1,400 defense. Now for a level 3, 1,400 defense is okay. 300 attack, kind of shitty. For this card, you pay 500 life points during the standby phase. And this one, if it will be designated, the result can be 1, 3, or 6. So the bishop, being a little bit magical, because bishops are kind of like the mages and bards. Now in chess, they don't really have any magical abilities outside of the fact that you move, diagonally. But anyway, this one actually you can roll 1, 3, or 6 to negate the effect. Outside of that, it has no other effect. Just the standardized Chess Archfiend effects, paying the life points during the standby phases, and then the negation effect. So the bishop is pretty much the weakest monster for this deck. I don't know why they couldn't have given it another effect. Something weak. Like once per turn you change this card to face down defense or some shit like that. I don't know, but it is actually the weakest of the Archfiend monsters. Next up we have the Queen. Now there are actually 2 queens for this specific archetype. The first one is Infernal Queen Archfiend. Infernal Queen is a level 4 fire attribute with 900 attack and 1,500 defense. Now those stats aren't very good. 1,500 booty on a level 4 for the time this card was released was about average, but the 900 attack was kind of crappy. Now this one's effect, you pay 500 life points during the standby phases. The dire result to negate the effect can be a 2 or a 5. And the additional effect is that as long as this card remains on the field during each standby phase, increase the attack of one Archfiend monster by 1,000 points. So the Queen actually protects all the other Archfiends in a way by increasing their attack every turn. Now the attack increase actually stays on during continuous turns. So during turn 1 you increase the level, like say you're increasing Shadow Knight, who has 2,000 attack. Well, first turn you bring it up to 3,000, next turn bring it up to 4,000, next turn up to 5,000. So it can actually, prove to be very beneficial. It is an effect that takes time to build up significantly, but it is a very powerful effect for level 4. And Infernal Queen, I think, is the, she's the white queen of the deck, she's, in chess, the queen pieces, you got the white side, the black side, the light side, the dark side, whatever you want to say. But the queens can move any direction, any number of spaces, any number of times. And Infernal Queen's effect, is a great parallel for her chess pieces move, because she can increase the attack of any monster. And just like in chess, she can go anywhere to do anything she wants. And in the Archetype, she can protect any piece she wants by giving it an attack increase. So I like the effect. It's a pretty good parallel effect. The second queen, and this is the queen I consider to be the black queen, is a level 8 dark. It is an imprisoned queen archfiend with 2,600 attack, 1,700 defense. For this one's effect, you have to pay 1,000 life points during each standby phases, and if you don't, this card is destroyed. Which doesn't make any sense, because it says during each of your standby phases you must pay 1,000 life points. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. But anyway, during your standby phase, target one level 4 lower fiend type monster on the field. That target gains 1,000 attack to the end phase. Pandemonium must be on the field, and this card must be in your graveyard to activate and to resolve this effect. So, this is, if your queen gets destroyed, if this queen gets destroyed, you can use the effect from the graveyard. And unlike Infernal Queen, Imprisoned Queen's effect only lasts until the end phase. And the can only target level 4 or lower fiends, which means Terror King, which I believe is a level 5. Nope, Terror King's a level 4. Okay. So it can affect any one of your other Archfiend monsters. Now, another theory I have for this card is that it's not actually the Black Queen. This is actually a pawn that got changed into a queen. And, looking at the artworks here, yeah, I mean, that does look like it's very possible. I mean, well, no, not so much. But anyway, there are a couple theories I have about where this queen came from. It could be a pawn that got turned into a queen, or it could be a queen that got knocked off the field. I don't know, but I like Imprisoned Queen. It's got 2,600 attack, 1,700 defense. So for a level 8, it's pretty good stats. 26 attack. The defense is a little low for a level 8, but still. I don't really care for the artwork on this card. It's not all that great. Just my opinion. Alright, the final monster for this archetype is Terrorking Archfiend. It's a level 4 Dark Fiend with 2,000 attack and 1,500 defense. It says this card cannot be normal or flip summoned unless you have an Archfiend monster card on your side of the field. Okay, so that's a little bit of a hindrance, because you have to already have an Archfiend monster on the field in order to bring this out. So you're probably not going to be bringing it out on your first turn. The controller of this card pays 800 life points during the standby phases. This is not optional. And when it's targeted by an effect, when resolving, you roll a 6-sided die, and the effect, and it has to be a 2 or 5 to negate the effect for Terrorking Archfiend. The main effect is that the effects of an effect monster that this card destroys as a result of battle are negated. So Terror King is, draw parallels to the king in chess, is, he's kind of big, the main piece you have to get rid of. And you can't bring him on the field unless you have another Archfiend that can protect him pretty much. So I like that effect. It's a pretty decent effect. It does kind of suck, though, because you can't bring him out by himself. But, he can't exist on the field by himself. Just, you have to have another Archfiend on the field in order to summon him. The stats are decent for level 4. 2,000 attack, 1,500 defense. That's really good. If you notice, in the artworks of all these monsters, it actually has a chessboard on the background of the artworks. It's pretty cool. Now, the artworks for the monsters, they're pretty decent, I think they could have done a better job portraying the chess pieces that they're in reference to. But, they still did a pretty good job, in my opinion. Now, this deck has 2 spell cards and 1 trap card that actually specifically resonate with this particular archetype. Now, the first spell card is Checkmate, which is a normal spell card. Now, for those of you who don't know, in chess, when you get your opponent's king into a position where they cannot move anywhere without being put in check, which is a spot where the king can actually be taken out by another piece, that's called a checkmate. And whoever emits checkmate loses the game. But what this card does is it says tribute 1 Archfiend monster on your side of the field. During this turn, Terrorking Archfiend on your side of the field can attack your opponent's life points directly. So it's pretty much allowing your 2000 attack point Terror King to do a direct attack, but you have to tribute another Archfiend in order to do it. So it's pretty cool. The thing I don't like about this is only one of your Terror Kings can use this effect, because you have to, it actually says, this turn, one Terror King on your side of the field can attack your opponent's life points directly. So, you know, it's a pretty decent effect, but, you know, could have been better. Next up is their field spell, Pandemonium. Pandemonium, you know, doesn't have, the artwork doesn't have anything to do with chess, but the effect is neither player has to play life points during the standby phase for Archfiend monsters, and each time a player's Archfiend monster is destroyed and sent to the graveyard except by battle, that player can add one Archfiend monster from their deck to their hand that is a lower level than the destroyed card. Now, you're really only running 3s and 4s in this deck. You got one monster that's a level 2 and one that's a level 8, but still, you know, you're getting searches off of your Archfiends, and Pandemonium stops you from having to pay life points for your Archfiends. Now, this, I believe, was a part of the Chess Archfiend, mainly because A, it was released at the same time, and B, only the Chess Archfiend monsters require you to pay life points during your standby phases. So this was actually part of the Chess Archfiend archetype. Now for the trap, it's a continuous trap. It is battle scarred. So select one Archfiend monster on your side of the field to activate this card. Your opponent also pays the same life points that you pay for the selected monster during the standby phase. This card is removed from the field, destroy the selected monster. When the selected monster is removed from the field, destroy that card. Now, granted, this can be used in any Archfiend deck, but only the Chess Archfiend cards require the life point payments during the standby phase. So this was, I believe, was actually just a part of the Chess Archfiend, and it's not really compatible with the other Archfiends. In addition to that, this was released at the same time as Chess Archfiends. So,
kiss my ass.
Or suck my dick. Whatever. I'm going to have to cut that part out. No. Anyway. But, you know, like I said, this is one of my favorite archetypes. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comment section below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave your comments in the box below. Get your friends, family, and anyone you know to subscribe to this channel. Until next time, this is Harpy 89 and the voices in my head signing off.
Take a shot at